All right, Apex Survival is here in Space Engineers, and getting started has never been easier. But maintaining your livelihood is a little bit harder. Let's get started. All right, so for those who are new, or even those who are just seeing an update, under new game, going into star systems. But of course, if you do want to learn the controls and everything, I would suggest go to original content up here. Go to first jump and give this a go. You'll learn all the basic buttons and everything like that, so you can get easily started after that. But for those who are fairly experienced in some ways, star system and customize. So when you do that, you notice the menu here has been changed, the world menu. Let's go here. First thing to do, Apex Survival. Name your save file. Your world settings will be here. And in terms of mods, I would probably choose 1 or 2 mods if possible, if you're playing on Steam or on PC. And that's going to be build vision and even colorful icons, although not completely updated just yet as of recording, but most things will be colored and some are not. Everything else you can kind of leave alone if you want to play it that way. I prefer to do character inventory size to be ×10, just so I can carry more and speed things up in terms of building. I can speed things up in terms of welding and grinding, but I'll leave that alone. View distance, you can leave it alone. Floating objects, I like to have a ton of it, which is gonna a big hit in performance. But I like to have floating objects, which I'll manually clean up eventually anyway, so it's not a big deal. I'll leave everything else on. Enable radiation. Asteroid density, I prefer it to be high density. Meteor activity, normally I usually do safe and not see any meteors, but meteors aren't dangerous anymore or vexing or annoying, so we'll leave it as normal. Everything else the same. Solar radiation can be a bit of a nuisance, but I'm gonna play with heavy radiation for fun. Although where I'm gonna start probably ain't gonna work. It's not gonna really do much to us anyways. Same with meteors. And of course, auto healing, which will heal you up to 70% if you have a pressurized environment, which I do not really like too much, so I'm gonna take that off. I'm also gonna take auto respawn because I like to choose where I respawn. Everything else we leave. And progression, very important. Progression helps new players to learn the new items tier by tier. So it's your tech tree in an essence. Yeah, if you're experienced engineer, don't even bother with it. But if you're still learning, go ahead and keep this on. And of course, if you want a challenge, keep it on. You would have to go item by item to be able to build what you want to build. Everything else you leave, you could do like spawn with tools, optimal spawn distance. You could say 1000 is your shortest. I usually do that once in a while. And then you have your respawn, ship cooldown, which is by default disabled. Food consumption rate. Let's go fast by trying to play as hard as possible. Survival buff on. Reduce stats on respawn on. I'm going to have everything else here that's on, especially wolves and spiders. I usually have them off, but because now we have insect meat and mammal meat, we definitely want those on. And then annual NPC limit. Normally you leave it alone. I'm just going to do 64, as it's kind of suggested that the value higher than 64 can significantly affect performance. So let's just do 64. Increase the global encounter cap. And random encounter density, I like to go high. So everything high where I can go high, just to make things more interesting. Everything here leave alone. We want spectator mode on. Everything else I usually leave on. And in-game scripts. And of course unsafe pistons, torques, and shared inertia on if you're using hinges, rotors, and pistons. And everything else you can kind of leave alone. I do not like to play with PCU limit since it's my own save file. And we get rid of the block limits. And that's how we get started with the world save settings. Hit start, and let's see where we're gonna end up. Well, something new included in Apex Survival is the new rover here, instead of a drop pod. Each one of these planets and moons have the same rover, except for a space pod, obviously. The space pod will be the original space pod here. And you'll see the different difficulties per moon and planet as well. Obviously, most people, as I said in another video before, Earth-like is your likely easiest place to start because it has atmosphere, oxygen, and general gravity. It also blocks meteors and also solar radiation. So it'll be a really easy start. So let's just start with that for now. And another playthrough, I'll probably go a little bit harder, like Europa, because the closer you are to the surface, the more radiation you get. But why not start on Earth to make everything a lot easier? Double click and get started. So you're going to be dropping down on a rover, I am dropping into... Ooh, this is not good. Kind of like a mountainous area here. I just want to make sure, let's just park so we don't drop and roll down the hill. And as we do that, first thing to do, obviously, get your weapons, meaning your pistol, ammo. You get some kelp crisp as a meal pack for them to help you survive initially. And then you have the GPS pointer here. So create the marker, hit OK, and see where that marker is. So that would be 62 kilometers away. Not good. That's a little bit too far for my liking. So I might actually be stuck up on this mountain for a little bit until I can find my way down safely. I mean, the good thing about having a rover is that we could slowly drive and find a good spot. But this is a tutorial video and how to get started as quickly as possible. We're going to start anywhere we land, or at least as close as we can be. So first thing I spot already, and that's part of the Apex Survival update, is some fruits. So we press F to pick that up, and we got some fruits which we could basically consume raw if we want to, but we should definitely cook it eventually. But of course, we got to pay attention to our HUD here on the bottom left. We have health, food, power or energy, oxygen, and hydrogen. So with the new rover, you can actually start really quick. So if you're like me and who doesn't like to drill too much with your hand drill, well, guess what? You're in luck because you don't have to do it. What you need to do is grab your grinder initially, take out the ladder on top of the rover. Don't need it. You can take out all these little steel plates right here, or light armor blocks on top. That's added design. And you can continue to take more if you want to. Take out the hatch. And potentially take out the ore detector if you really, really want to go that route. But I'm going to save it for now. And these are very important right here. Piston parts, because it has large steel tubes. So you definitely want to take out these when possible. And if you didn't know, there's a bit of a wheel right on the bottom, which give you decent parts. So grab that as well. If you need more steel plates, guess what? More steel panels right over here, or panels right underneath that you could take easily. Okay, so with that done, you could kind of get started by building a landing gear, and this is to satisfy progression. So with that unlocked, you can add more wheels, you do a cockpit and everything like that, and you have to do a cockpit to satisfy another tier. So take down your cockpit here, just down below the hack line, and then back. And we got some more stuff. So one thing for now, the most efficient start is to just grab as much stuff as you can and not get it underneath the functional line. So then that gives you a lot more materials as well, which you can do with the wheels as right here to get some steel plates if you really need it. And of course, what you need here now is to get rid of these lights. So now we could already build a drill because we satisfied the cockpit need of progression. So yeah, the original drill and also the DLC drill. I'm just going to use the DLC drill because it looks cool. And it has the port on the back, small port, same as the original drill. So I'm going to throw it right over here. And I'm going to weld it up. And as you see here, we have all the materials that we can have ready for it. So this makes it easy where we do not have to drill by hand at all. So if you find any stone boulders, it'll probably be easier, or a mountain will be easier to grab the stone that you want. But hey, this is easy enough. So you have your drill ready, get in your tool blocks here. Let's go to a more mountainous area like so. We just gotta be careful not to drill too deep where you're gonna fall in. So we're gonna do a left click drilling here. And we're going to easily get some stone right in this vicinity. And that stone, of course, will fill in through everything because it's all conveyed so far. So go to production, go to ingots on your survival kit. Queue up all the ingots you can here. And then continue to drill as much as you can, because that's how you're going to get your initial ingots such as iron, silicon, and nickel. plus scramble, which is basically junk for the time being. It'll be useful later down the line. But as you see, I'm just going to grab slowly here because our drill system actually has a lot of space too. So you can fill this up pretty decently with stone if you really, really have to. And then we just got to keep progressing through. If we want to keep it kind of mobile, we can build like a solar panel first, an O2H2 system, a cargo container, and everything like that. But we can also create a whole base first if we really, really wanted to. But let's just say, let's go small grid for now. We got the O2H2 solar panels that we're going to fill up here. So small grid solar panel. We do the corner one. So we don't have to spend too much on this. So we put it in production here. Using build planner, shift middle mouse. As long as you have it in your build planner section here. So we can add a nice little wing system to our rover if we wanted to. And I like to do it this way just for fun. We'll just put it on right here. And we should have enough for this. And we could probably generate more if we really, really wanted to. And of course, skimming the top is not the best idea, but it works out fine. It's not that bad. So we could also do this in the front. Front wheels, select the 2 front wheels. Height offset a little bit lower. And you can do the strength lower if you want to. So you kind of tilt it downwards a little bit more. So you can start grabbing more stone towards the bottom here on this kind of cliff. Not completely necessary, but it does help with gathering. So once you're done with that, let's bring it back up actually. So we're going to do 10 strength. Height offset was at negative 30, right? Okay, so we may be a little bit stuck here or too full. Oh, we're probably on park. That's why. Never mind. So while that's producing, as you see here, we got a whole bunch of iron already, so that's not too bad. We can pop in an O2H2 system if we wanted to. So we could throw one right over here. Or we can add in a cargo container instead first. So maybe do like a medium cargo container or a modular cargo container. Modular cargo container is a little bit long, so I might not do that right this moment. Or we could go with a connector if we can. Nope, not yet. Yeah. So we do a cargo container first. Let's do a medium cargo container. We'll throw one right over here. So with build planner, what you can do is right click to put it in your build planner listing right over here. And then shift middle mouse to queue it up once you're in the port. So it looks like I might be queuing up another solar panel, which is fine. So we'll grab what we can in terms of solar panel, and we're gonna throw another one of these things right here just for style points. There we go. So now we got 2 panels right there, and it kind of helps with balancing too. So we flip a little bit, it will hit the solar panel, break that first before anything else, and hopefully it doesn't break the survival kit though. But that's also a good way of doing it. All right, we need motors and displays left here. No, we're good. We don't need motors for functional. So we have a cargo container, and now lastly we can throw in an O2H2 system if we want to. It's not like we can make any bottles just yet anyways, but actually I kind of wanted the DLC version or the lab version of it. Let's just do it this way. I like the bubbles. So as you see, we're about like 10 minutes in and we already established so much in terms of progression. So with this rover, it is so much quicker to get started. But like I said, it'll be a little bit harder to maintain your livelihood, your food, your O2 and your H2 because you don't start with bottles anymore. The only good thing is that you can start with a kelp crisp with your survival kit, but you do need 4 algae, which we will need a algae farm up and running really soon. Okay, it looks like we're missing a large steel tubes, but keep in mind, we still have more piston heads here. So we grab this off of the rover and throw it in here. And obviously, this thing is now way too long, so why not add a few more wheels? So we want our left and right wheels. So we're going to flip it over and add it that way. So we have to add the wheels here. With Build Vision, you should be able to add the wheels, but it still ain't got space for it. So here's a good little tip. Get into your cockpit. And I love how that the rover is labeled in terms of the wheel. So type in WHE or wheels, and you'll see here's the front wheel. Take one of the front wheels, take the incompleted wheels in the back, go to height offset and bring it all the way up. Once you do that, go to add wheel. And now you have your wheels right there. Of course, you want to get this back in place. So you do that. 0.3, negative 0.3. So they're all evened out. It doesn't have to be even, but we have it evened out now. All right, so then we got to get these things constructed. It looks like we need some construction components. So we can queue up a few right there. We're missing a little bit of large steel too, so that's fine. We should still have another head somewhere, if anything. Right here. We have 2 more. You can strip these piston heads or piston parts, add them to your wheels, and you should be good to go. We just need construction components. So in terms of the wheel, you're not going to have all the large steel tubes based on what we just built so far. We can leave it as this skeleton for now, or frame. And once we get another large steel tube, we can get that fixed. But right now, looks like we don't have any large steel tubes that we can access at the moment. So we have to leave it as so. So the frame still works perfectly fine. And there's an unknown signal, which possibly have a large steel tube. It's a bit kind of far from where I am, but it does help me get down the mountain. Nope, it does not help me get down the mountain. Sounds like we got a storm coming as well. So now we already got a rover with an O2H2 system. If we find ice, we could load it up with ice and fill up our hydrogen tank. Oxygen tank is getting from the air vent, so we should be perfectly fine. But as you see here, we could drive this thing with no problem whatsoever. So if we do need to move and find a better location, we are pretty set to do so. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it down the mountain, but if you scout around, I think I see an ice lake, which might be useful. But it looks like we have some kind of food foraging spot right here. It looks like berries. I'm going to grab that, obviously. Let's go to unknown signal, because that is what's going to give us more materials that we can utilize without having an assembler right away. So let's hope for the best so we can fill out the wheel. But then once we have that all done, we could get a base started. But generally, you may want to find a spot close to ice only so you can fill up your bottle so you can fly with a jetpack. Because flying with your jetpack is much better than just running around. And we're going to keep picking stuff up because we don't have a collector. So if you have a collector later down the line on your truck, you can just run it over and collect it. But we got some food, so that's not too bad. So let's just eat some kelp crisp to fill up our food needs. And see if we can get down this mountain. Alright, we're going to slowly get down this mountain. There's ice right over here, so we really need to drill down here. We can get ice, which is perfect. So we don't have to go too far. We can GPS this location by going to the chat by pressing enter. GPS ice. Or ice W. I don't know why I spelled like that. That's fine. Looks like there's magnesium here as well. But more importantly, I just want to get to that spot over there. Just to get the unknown signal. And of course, you can continue to explore and find a better location if necessary. Maybe the top of the mountain was probably an ideal spot where we were before, because it's like optimal for sun. So now we're getting into kind of a valley, which might get covered up eventually. So that's not going to be great. But we'll just continue to pick up more berries. And look, it's raining. Another option is go for that processing plant and call that home. That's also a good way of starting as well, as long as you don't get too much trouble from attacking the base. And hopefully it doesn't shoot you back. Ooh, looks like we got a big old one here. So we can hit the button for a suit. And let's see what we got. We got power kit, money, and some nickel. Not the greatest, but the materials in here is what we need. Not looking like there is a large steel tube, right? Nope. Small steel tube, though. We'll grab everything that we can out of it. I think there's a large steel tube somewhere. No, there's a parachute hatch has a small steel tube. So, unfortunately, we gotta wait for the large steel tube, which is not a big deal. Alright, so we found ice here. So, we're probably just gonna stay here in terms of getting started with a base. Generally, an ice lake would be the best start, but this is good enough. And given that we could probably and hopefully climb back up this mountain would be ideal. And it looks like we are able to with minimal power. Perfect. The ice is important, especially with the farming and everything like that. So we're going to climb up here. And we're probably just going to have a base, I guess, like right here. Peak of the mountain here. And as you see here, we got silicon, we had magnesium, ice, and everything like that too. So it's a good spot. We got some berries that grew here and there too. So we could definitely get started right over here. I do want to get some ice, and unfortunately, I'm probably going to just grab it by hand. So it is 24 meters down. So we're going to right-click drill just to go down straight. All right, so ice isn't extremely necessary just yet, but always a precaution to get some because we're going to run out of hydrogen eventually. And again, walking around is not as quick as running around with jetpacks. So we have a good amount of ice and some stone that we can refine as well. So we can get started with our base. A simple base is more than enough. The cheapest way to do that is just kind of get a frame going. And your biggest framed item is probably going to be your 3x3 slab if you can make it. So it looks like we need to do interior wall first. So we just throw this down. Get that constructed, and we'll just break it down again. Like so. And then we should have the 3x3 slab. With the 3x3 slab, we're going to just throw it right down here. You're not going to weld it up and spend 160 interior plates and steel plates, but this is more than enough to get started in terms of a house or a platform or your first base. Okay, so we have that going. What we need to do now is get an assembler up and running as soon as possible. So we're going to throw that there. We're going to do a cargo container in between it right here. And then a refinery on this side for the time being. So that's all conveyed that way. And then we need to build a drill system. We'll build it that way. But we also need other things like power and also algae farm going because food is going to be an issue. It looks like we're going to have to snack on this right now. Farm plots. Are we able to make farm plots yet? No. So what gives us the farm plots? We need to make the algae first, then the food processor, and so forth. Okay, that's fine. So that is your newest items to make after your assemblers and everything like that. So we definitely need power. So power, we can kind of get it from here if we want to do a connector. But since we're on Earth, it's completely unnecessary to do that. We could easily make a wind turbine. So we can just build a quick little thing. And it's going to be like 7 tall. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then get a turbine on here. And hopefully we have enough parts to throw in a turbine. Looks like we're missing a little bit of girders. So grab that and queue it up on our survival kit. And we're going to continue to eat some kelp to get going. Where is the sun over there? So we need to get some kind of algae farm thing going right over here. Or we could kind of plant it on the cargo for now if you really wanted to. But I don't think that's going to be necessary. We could just kind of throw it on top of... Actually, we should just do that. Yeah, I'm going to throw another cargo container here for random placement for now. And then the algae farm, which we do have the DLC version, is the half algae farm. But I'm not going to use that one. I'm going to use the big old algae farm right here. Looks like the oxygen farm, basically. And I'm going to put that connection point there. So the sun's there, so we should be able to get some connection going or algae going. It looks like we could create everything except for glass. Right? Yes. Okay, so we'll grab what we can for the turbine to get started. So this will give us the power that we need. Perfect. Now, we could try to get the algae farm going, but then we don't have enough glass. We need at least 40 glass. Do we have 40 glass? No, I think we spent some of it already. Wait, what happened to our glass? We have We have 25 glass, so not enough glass to get going. Yeah, so we definitely need the assembler up and running before we get that glass going. So we'll just do this. See if we can queue up everything on our assembler or survival kit. And we won't have metal grids this time around because actually do we have any metal grids? No metal grids because that used to be on the thrusters. We don't start with thrusters anymore. So that's where it gets a little hard in terms of cargo containers. But not to fret just yet because you could always make alternatives. Like a connector, which is pretty expensive on its own in terms of steel plates, but it's not terrible. All right, while we wait for things to produce, we don't have to stand here and wait for it to go. We could move around a little bit and start mining a little bit more because we have a lot of space anyways. We just kind of skim a little bit off the top here just to get all the stone we can. It is going to slow down production because it's going to try to get ingots first anyways, but should be okay. And you do have a gyroscope, so you can kind of pitch it down if you want to like this. Yes, ever so slightly. Hope you don't break anything, but you can get a little bit more stone this way, which is perfect. Bounce it around. Or hold X, but that might make you jump a little bit, so you gotta be careful of that. But this is minor drilling session going on here. So production-wise, we want to get the computers up and running first before it produces anything else, because we do have all the materials to produce it. It's just going to take some time. Okay, here's the assembler. We need 9 more. And we got our assembler up and running. Okay, everything can be dumped into the assembler. So we start producing things that way. So we needed glass for algae. So we do need... How many do we need? We needed at least 25... No, 15 more. So let's just produce 15 more. Alright, that's satisfied glass. But we still have all the other stuff that we need to produce. And if we have it, we try to get that one large steel tube. That might be kind of kicking us in the butt. But should be alright. There we go. No more frame for you. Okay. So we have all this material now. And we are going to get ourselves. And the problem is we are now short on the sun. So algae is not going to be a go anymore. We should have set that up a little bit sooner, which is going to be fine. We're on our last pack here. But we do have some fruits that we can consume as well. So we should be okay for now, I hope. All right, algae farm is a go. Again, we're probably not going to get any algae out of this anytime soon. Yeah, because the sun's gone. We're going to wait for a day, unfortunately. But we do need to get a refinery up and running as well, and also a food plot. Food processor. We can connect over here for now. Oop, we have no steel plates. Okay, so it looks like we do need to do a little bit more drilling now, but I think we have more than enough space because of the current drill system. It would be nice to get the refinery up and running and get some iron if we can find a deposit somewhere. Ideally, I kind of really prefer to drill through a mountain. Yeah, we could drill through a mountain like this. Probably not the best slope in this way. Right here. That should do it. Okay, since we also have an assembler, we should be able to produce a bottle now. So if we get a bottle, we get a hydrogen bottle. So that's going to be worth it in terms of being able to fly around and pick up stuff. So let me queue that up first. And grab what I can out of here. So get the hydrogen bottle ready. Okay, perfect. So So now we can fly to unknown signals and not have to worry about coming back and not being able to fly back. The only problem is there's no real ports to get to the hydrogen tank itself. So that's where it can get a little difficult. So you can't really get in here and exchange the bottle right into any of these things here, like a small hydrogen tank, because it's using small ports. So we could probably utilize the O2H2 system if you had ice in it. I think this is going to work. Yep, that's going to work perfectly fine. So it fits in small port of the medium cargo container that's directly connected to the O2H2 generator. So that kind of helps out. All right, so then we are free to fly away for now. See if we can find anything in the unknown signal. We are in jeopardy because we need food. What do we got here? Not food, which is not good. All right, we got some buffs. Level 1. So shift B. We got 110% on everything. Movement speed 104 and oxygen consumption 90%. Although oxygen consumption on Earth, like, not a big deal. Okay, we're here. A food processor. We should probably get going first, if anything. We don't necessarily need the refinery just yet. Construction components. Ooh, it needs a lot. Okay, we now have a food processor. So with the food processor, we could throw in... We've only got fruits, so it looks like we can't really make anything, but we could turn them into seeds or we could eat them. So there's the thing. Or try our luck with the unknown signal. So we should probably turn one thing into a seed, if anything. The harvesting, turn it to a seed. So we'll get this seed packet there. And then we need a food plot, farm plot. Or an irrigation system first, which... Ooh, it does cost a significant amount. But we're going to try to produce this here. So we can add it right over here. And we'll plot out the farm plot here for now. Okay, so definitely still a lot more to go, and we're running out of food. So we can consume a fruit. It'll help us bring it up a little bit, but not too much. Ideally, we go to like a beacon to buy food, but we are so far from a beacon. And unknown signal is 4.19 kilometers away, which is not great. But the processing plant might be our next best bet, to be honest. Okay, do we have enough to make the irrigation system and also the farm plot? No. We definitely need to find some iron to speed things up. Just a pain in the butt to find at the moment. We do have an ore detector that's on, so I would hope I could find some sooner or later. I'm going to head over to the unknown signal really quick. Maybe I'll find some more foraging stuff. Would love to have some meat going, so if any wolves could pop up, would be nice. I got a nice little grinder for you as well. Let's go to unknown signal. Hope we can spot some iron as well. That's going to speed things up because we do have assembler up and running. Here's some cobalt. Oop. Have the GPS point that. We'll be back for that later down the line. But we could survive on the little bits of... Oop, here's iron. Alright, so we can easily stay here really quick for now. I'm going to fly over there to get to the unknown signal since we got the hydrogen to do so. Alright, let's see. Any food that you can provide to us? We are starving. Seeds, vegetable seeds. Nice, we can grow that. Alright, let's get back to the respawn pod. Yeah, we're probably going to have to consume a little bit more of the fruits. Okay, here's the iron. We definitely need iron to get this thing running quicker. Where's my pod? So right around here. Yeah, looks like I'm gonna have to eat another one of these fruits. I really don't want to, but looks like we have to. All right, let's head back now. So got the iron, but we don't have a refinery actually, so that was kind of pointless. We gotta get back home. I'm gonna keep on the drill so we can gather as we drive. That's kind of the main reason why I did the drill over there. But we got everything we need here in terms of resources. Cobalt, nickel. And I think there's silicon next to us, so that's not too bad. But yeah, refinery we need to get up and running next. Food-wise, we probably need to go foraging. And hopefully the sun comes back up so the algae can start growing a little bit better or quicker. I might have to stop the drill eventually. And this is not looking good for us right this moment because we're at 25% food. Moderate consumption would probably be better, but I went on fast consumption. So we are hungry hippos. Or zebras in this case. Yeah, we definitely need to go foraging for some more fruits and vegetables and grains and stuff like that, but I don't see anything near us right this moment, so it's going to be a problem. We need to get the refinery going, actually, so lots more steel plates, motors, and construction components. So we need 4 motors. Let's cancel this. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, I'm going to eat my last bit of fruit because we're going to be dunzos if we don't. I'm going to throw the last bit of stone in there. We are missing 20 steel plates, which you grab from this assembler. There we go. We should be good. Ooh, we're cutting it close. 25%. Okay, throw in the iron. Reduce that. That's going to speed things up a little bit more. Grab this, that. What do we need for the irrigation system and farm plots? Small steel tubes, construction components, lower steel tubes. All right, so I don't think we're going to make it in terms of growth. So we might have to go exploring for some food as well. Okay, we got our irrigation system up and running. I guess we can... Ooh, this is going to be bad. We could plant some fruits and vegetables. We do need to get some ice on here. Yeah, we're not going to make it in terms of food survival at this point. Water is low. Yikes. We need more ice. There's not a lot of power going on here. So not looking too good. We're hungry. And we got nothing to eat. So drastic measure means we may have to go to that processing plant really quick. Yeah, so that's not good. Oh. All right, we are a little bit in a dicey spot. We did not mean to do this. All right, let me just climb back up here. All right, we're safe here. Okay, let's just see if we get to processing plant. There are defensive protocols, it looks like. So, but this is my only hope left. And there's a nice ice lake right there too. Interesting. All right, you got big old Gatlin right here, which we can take out. I don't know if we can call it ours. No, we can't. All right, so that's fine. Let's just go inside. Hopefully there's no turrets inside. So far, so good. Okay, what we got in here? Do we have any food? Nope. No food. There's meal pack here in the kitchen, so I gotta find that. Where's the kitchen? Where is the kitchen? Kitchen. Oh, there's a turret right here.